We're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. Hi, welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Drew Brown. We hope to inspire, entertain, and learn something so we can all make this world a better place for our children. I'd like to introduce to you somebody who's my friend, my wingman, my main man, and I have a wingman watching my back, Dr. Paul Thompson. Hey, Paul, what's happening?
Oh, not much. Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Thompson, and you just heard from Mr. Drew Brown, Dark Gable. He's the American dream. He's the man, the myth, the legend, the pilot's pilot, the role model's role model, and most importantly, his royal fullness. How are you doing today, Mr. Dark Gable?
I'm doing great, and I'm glad I'm full of knowledge, Paul. I'm glad I'm full of knowledge. Well, we're going to have a great show right now. Check this out. Dr. Paul, Dr. Paul, Dr. Paul, I heard you have a wingman story for me, an extra special one, kind of a double lifesaver one.
Yeah, this is coming out, not out the history books or out of anybody's imagination. It comes from the middle of America. And most of the wingmen that we knew were probably in their 20s or above in age. This wingman is a lot younger.
Wow, can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear it. Well, we got to start off with this, Dr. Paul. Omicron, COVID-19, the way everybody is acting, they changed it from 10 days to 5 days because of pressure by businesses, airlines. Everything is going haywire. The instructions and the regulations on what you're supposed to do if you get this virus is not very clear at all, especially for the vaccinated, the boosted, and the unvaccinated. It seems like everybody's rolled up into one. And so what's real, and they've canceled how many flights now? It's 1,000 a day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to hell because people couldn't come to work. What do you think, Doc?
Yeah, it was 2,000 flights as of yesterday. In fact, my daughter, she took a short flight, and she was like 2 hours late, but, made it no problem. The big thing is that you've got a lot of the flight delays because a lot of the crews are calling in sick. There's your problem. I don't know what, I've been out of the industry for a while. I guess they have some kind of rapid testing they can do right on the spot, and folks aren't making it. And all of a sudden, you get a whole bunch of people either calling in sick or they are sick, and they're screwed. So from 10 days to 5 days. Now, I know some of the unions, or the flight attendants union was against it because they want everybody to be safe. What's the purpose of getting everybody sick, putting them on airplanes? There's something to be said about that.
I bet you the FAA has some strict regulations for pilots. And I know us being pilots, we're not breaking those regulations. We're not losing our license to go fly a flight we'll probably get sick pay for.
Exactly. Yeah. That's probably not happening at all. 10 days to 5 days. And I guess they were pressured by the airlines and some other groups to cut it down. Now, I'd also heard, again, this is not too scientific, because like you said, the story changes about every 2 hours. But with this Omicron variant, it's thought that if you have it, you're contagious for, they say 3 days. I heard that yesterday. Don't know if it's true. So by 5, you should be fine. Some would say, no, keep it at 10. And there's others say you should even make it 12 or 13.
No, this morning I was on the Peloton. I'm riding, watching the news, and it says now you are most infectious 2 days prior to feeling symptoms. So that means you have no idea when you are most infectious. Then it goes down when you have symptoms, and then it goes back up a little bit after your symptoms have gone away. How about that one?
Okay. Well, so you don't know when to punch the clock. You don't really know.
This is what it is, Dr. Paul. I think everybody's going to get this thing. I am trying to stay away from it. They're now saying 2 masks. Israel has a 4th booster. If they give a 4th booster, a 5th booster. See, there's one word in this thing that hasn't changed. It's called dying. Mm-hmm. It's being put on a ventilator. That's the one variant that has not changed during this. So Drew Brown is not going to die. or I am going to do the best I can to prevent that, especially if scientists all over the world say to do this. So I'm getting boosted as many times as they give boosters.
Okay, so you're not worried about them putting like robots in your system?
I already have them.
Okay, so you're not going to be any crazier. Okay.
Correct.
Gotcha.
But I'll tell you who is getting crazier. Well, I shouldn't say crazier. And it's really not that, it's not nice to say, but our youth, man, they're exposed to so much. And I'm going to be honest with you. I know you have a story about your grandson, but these video games, they're not exercising. The schools are cutting back on arts, on music, on physical education. Their social media has actually taken away their ability to communicate face to face. They're hurting. Our youth are hurting. So how about this? You know, Alexa, and I'm not busting anybody, I'm just reading the news. Alexa told a young girl in England to put a penny into a live electrical socket.
Why?
Because in its algorithms, it found out that there was this TikTok challenge a long time ago where people were pulling out the plugs and putting pennies on it. And then there's a big thing that says, okay, don't do this. So it actually could have killed this girl because she believes Alexa more than common sense. So what happens when you have you're a little bit heavy maybe, or maybe you're a little bit shy, or maybe you stutter? What happens on social media when people get on you and bully you without even being able to bully you?
Yeah.
You know, and you feel that your likes are your life. No kidding. It's something that you and I, now we're older, I don't give a shit who likes me right now. I'm nice to as many people as I can be. That's it. Right. But I don't live by other people. Now, growing up, I can't tell you I was that. That's the truth. But I feel so bad for our children. This social media thing is really, really hurting them. What do you think, Doc?
Yeah, it's there are a lot of problems. You have things from low self-esteem to shyness to embarrassment, going all the way up to murder, based on someone typing something in a chat room. Everybody's a keyboard commando. Everybody's really tough online. But the fact is that these technologies are so powerful that people absorb what's being typed, whether it makes any sense or not. It's hard, like you said, it's hard to really relate to, because most of the bullies I'd seen in life, they're always physical. They didn't exist in like genies pop in and pop out. They're always around.
These are kind of like the people who have been bullied all their lives.
I think so.
Probably the best at this.
I think so. Because I had a friend one time who was just gigantic and monstrous. People were intimidated by him, until he died. Actually, I don't think he ever balled up his fist in his life. He never had to. He never had to. You walk in and everybody just leave him alone or go the other way. If you're his friend, you're all right. But now it's anybody with a keyboard. Anybody with a keyboard can write something. They can't act on it. What happens is a lot of people, particularly adults, I think, who do this stuff, live these lives of quiet desperation and are looking for attention. And most of the culture now is, hey, look at me. Hey, look at me. Are you looking? Are you sure you're looking? But now it's a two-way deal, because people, I'm looking at you, and this is what I see.
Yeah.
That two-way negativity is draining.
That's a great analogy, Doc.
Yeah, I just came off the top of my head, but it's really draining. My son was telling me that his concern is that the technology to make these things look real, alternate reality, is pretty much here now, and it's going to get better. You really won't be able to tell the difference between real and fake. Talk about these deep fakes, where you can have these, you take these famous people and make movies about them, have them do weird things, and it looks like them, and you really can't tell.
Think about 50 years technology from now, because it exponentially gets faster. Yeah. Exponentially, it gets faster. This is causing youth mental health issues. They have proven this. Facebook did a survey, and they busted Instagram for saying that it's lowering youth's self-esteem. And yet they're the same big corporation that's allowing this to happen. And don't you have a grandson there now? And you told me give me the rules that you have or that your son has for him.
He can't really do any video games. His aunt let him do a couple games one time just before he started his karate class, when we were waiting for it to begin. I was like 10 minutes. Okay, that's fine. And then he was out on the mat doing stuff, physical stuff, for 45 minutes. But the son doesn't really want him doing any of that. Just maybe a tiny bit super supervised, because of so many things that they're injected in these games and videos too. There's a lot of messages.
How about movies and television?
That's almost like a no. We did I let him watch Jurassic Park the other day, but very, very little stuff. He wants to be looking at the Discovery Channel, YouTube videos. Things with dinosaurs are okay right now. Dinosaurs are cool. Any kind of construction stuff is cool. There's really a world of things available. If you got the technology to bring it in, we can do it in our home easy at the flick of a switch. So it's not just, crazy cartoons. Sometimes, when you take, for a lot of young people, if you take this away from them, they have like withdrawal. The other day I was driving the car and I had the phone on something and I made a hard turn. It flew on the other side of the car, and I waited. Okay, I didn't do anything crazy. I waited till I got to a red light and I went and grabbed it, make sure. And I had that feeling,
Wow.
Nobody's in the car except me. It's not going anywhere. But still, the next red light, okay, I get time. Yeah, okay, I'll just unbuckle the seatbelt for a second.
It's part of your life.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That iPhone, from pictures to communication to information to banking to buying, has actually become ingrained in us. And that feeling that you have of the phone flying away, I have the same exact feeling.
Yeah. So I'm not condemning young people on having that feeling, because I've got some of it too. I can't say it. You can just think your way out of it. It's just there. Now you got to manage it.
You got to manage it. I read an article that Black kids are committing suicide at a higher rate. And then it gave me statistics on African Americans, and I was a little confused. But the truth is that when I looked at the graph, it is actually not true. But it really revealed something that's very ugly. And I think that's the problem with America today. We have not told the truth. You see, you're not responsible for people 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago. You are not them. Because white people enslaved Black people. If you're white, that has nothing to do with you. Just like if you're a Black person, you see somebody ignorant on television, or they do something, and somebody asks you, wow, they have nothing to do with you. And once you have self-esteem, you'll actually realize that. But it seems to me that America doesn't give one shit about Native Americans, because their suicide rate is number one in all categories, and not by a little. Dr. Paul, not by a little. I mean, they were 18% and 23% when everything else was 2 and 3 and 6.
Single digits. Yeah, in single digits.
Why don't we ever talk about the truth about our Native Americans? I mean, they take away the goddamn football name. That's what you're doing for them. You give them casinos so the wealthy, educated ones can make money. I've been on Indian reservations. I've spoken on Indian reservations, Dr. Paul. You cannot drive a car on Friday, Saturday nights because there are drunk Indians all over the highway. And here's the funny thing. They don't serve alcohol on Indian reservations. These people are drinking Listerine, and they're drinking hairspray. They're drinking Sterno. The alcoholic problem in our Eskimos and our Native Americans is out of control, and it seems like nobody gives a shit.
I had always heard that. I saw some of that excess in Anchorage, Alaska, on 2 or 3 occasions. One time, really, really bad, not out on the street, but inside the hotel, in the hotel lobby. I guess there's some people who do have a genetic disposition to not be able to handle any alcohol at all.
It's a medical condition. It's a genetic medical condition. You see, insurance pays for it. So that's guaranteed. American Medical Association says it is. This is not maybe, kind of, and the whole thing you can stop if you want to is just not true.
Well,
but I'm wondering why we don't pay attention to people who live in this country that actually, they didn't believe in what the white man back then was selling. They don't believe that you can own land. They don't believe you can own fish. They don't believe you can own air and space and I can't come here. And you want to give me paper or coins? Do you have any corn? You got any buffalo?
Yeah, I think that's
they
pretty.
They just have not accepted these rules.
Yeah, I think that's pretty consistent with indigenous people around the world, what you just said. I think the concept of that kind of ownership, segmenting and ownership and tribes and things like that.
Well, it makes common sense that the land is there for people to grow food so people can eat. And so they don't get the concept of, what they get the concept of, that you have buffalo on your land and I'm coming to kick your butt so you can get off that land so I can eat your buffalo.
Yeah.
But as far as owning land, where's the line? Who drew this magical line?
Right. Somebody drew the maps.
Do you see the country, though? Have you ever noticed that it's not square? None of the states are square. All those little parts were fought for.
Yeah. Yeah, not too many rectangles. Yeah, you get, I guess, Arizona.
No, but they still got a little boop.
A little bit, yeah.
So that little land was fought for. If somebody was like, nah, dog, you can't add this.
Let's see. Well, the central part, central part of the U.S. is kind of rectangular. But yeah, there may be some place you ever drive like from New York State to Pennsylvania, whatever, you got to, you're all over the place.
It's amazing.
It's not a straight line. That's true.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, I just read also a Pennsylvania state trooper has 4 killings on his record and he's still working and they're now investigating the 4th. And this brings me to this because, a young girl was killed and I don't like talking about bad stuff on this show because I want people to feel good. But sometimes you have to kind of talk about the truth. And this truth is that a young girl, innocent girl, was killed in a dressing room. Because this idiot had a bicycle chain, was beating people. The police told him to stop. I can't tell you how many more times they told him, and he didn't stop, and they killed him. Except the bullet, they said, ricocheted into her. Now, you and I have talked about this because I did see this. This guy on television, he said, I am going to come back and kill all of you. I mean, that's why they called the cops. The cops came, the guy came back with a big knife, walking towards the door of the convenience store in this gas station. Okay? I want you now to be the cop. Stop, lay down your weapon. And he's yelling, maybe F you. I'm going to go kill them. What are you to do, Dr. Paul? Are you going to let him go in there and kill everybody? Or are you going to shoot him? And what I'm trying to bring is that there are certain situations. All cops are not bad. All black people are not this. All white people are not this. There are certain situations that are life and death, and people have to make that decision. And so I don't like this getting on cops because that's the same thing as getting on Indians or blacks. We are individuals and we shouldn't be tied to an incomplete name. My point is that there are policemen who do help us all the time. They don't get a lot of publicity. And they never said what this guy's 4 killings was about, but they dismissed them all. So they just want you to assume this is a killing cop. Right. Go, Doc.
Well, those are tough decisions. And the fact is, there are a lot of bad people out here. They've always been, but there are a lot now. You talked about, the shooting in L.A. with the girl, which is very tragic. I did watch the video that led up to that. There's some body camera stuff, but there's store video of the guy assaulting a lot of people or a lot of people. I think two or three women on an escalator. He's going up and going down. He's physically bigger, and he's finally back into the store. It's really crazy. And he hits this woman, and she's bleeding. She's leaving a blood trail. And that's when the cops kind of got there. And they're saying, okay, I see blood. I see her bleeding. They saw him and they shot him. I didn't see him do anything necessarily. Not sure what was going on, but the fact is a stray bullet, went through the dressing room, went through the sheetrock and killed this girl. Had that not occurred, we probably wouldn't be talking about this now at all.
100%. But what would you have done if you were the cop?
If he was bona fide crazy, going to hurt somebody else, there could have been somebody else near him that I didn't see off camera. Maybe he shot then. There was a similar situation in Ohio where police were called. There's just two teenage girls that were fighting, and one was chasing another with a butcher knife. You can see that on video. And the one being chased fell down. The other one's about to stab her, and a policeman said, "Stop, stop, stop." She's not stopping. He shoots the girl. He kills the girl who was about to stab, and was very, was roundly criticized for it. And his thought was that, well, I had a choice of not shooting and watching her kill the other girl. Those are my choices.
So I'm not pushing you against the wall or anything, but can you tell me what you would do?
Oh, shot! If I could make the shot safely, I'd take the shot.
That's what I thought you'd say.
Hope for the best.
Because you're a badass jet pilot.
Oh yeah, that makes you know everything. Right. But
how about this? We talked about a solution to this. A lot of people talk about problems. Now, for anybody who's a little bit timid, this may sound harsh, but we have both flown to Singapore. Mm-hmm. And the rules in Singapore, when I deadheaded in, meaning I took a commercial flight in, there's a big orange neon sign that says drug traffickers will be killed, as large as you could see it. I took a picture of it. In Singapore, if you do something wrong, they still cane you. Mm-hmm. And that means they take this huge paddle and slap your bare ass until it blisters damn near. And depending on what you did is how many whacks you get. And if this is true, if you pass out, they bring you to the hospital, they recoup you, you let you rest, and you come back and finish your sentence. And you and I are kind of not close to this, but remember there was a FedEx executive, a great company, I have no idea who it was, but his son was spray painting graffiti all over Singapore. And they caught him and they sent this to how many?
I don't know. I think it was like 12 or 16, and I think they cut it down to a little bit because the president of the United States got involved. And from 16 or whatever, they draw it down to 10 or something like that.
No,
it's not a regular
it was
10.
Even less than. I think it was 3 to 5, actually.
3 to 5, and he probably passed out on the second one.
100%, yes.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you that kid doesn't touch cans of paint with spray nozzles on it.
Probably
to
not.
this day. I bet you he didn't do graffiti anymore. Okay, so what I was trying to bring is that's called Singapore justice. The only reason we can't have that here is because there are so many crooked people in our system that certain people would get hit and certain people wouldn't get hit.
Right.
If you understand, it's almost like, Kim Kardashian, she ruined Spider-Man for a bunch of people. She told the ending in her Instagram, believe it or not. And just a little point, Spider-Man has made billions. It's like they're going on the second billion now. And they all say it's good. Actually, 94 and 96 on Rotten Tomatoes, which I haven't ever seen.
I'd like to go see the Spider-Man. I'm not sure I want to see it in a theater, though. I don't remember the last movie I went to see in a theater. I may do it sometime. She shouldn't have done that. But again, I don't have Twitter, so I don't know what you
neither.
I don't know what you said.
Neither.
So I don't think it's a big
get
deal.
bullied if you don't have the app.
Exactly. Just hit delete, cancel.
No, really, you can't. Somebody would have to show you the bullying, and you can say,
Exactly.
"Nah, I don't feel like looking."
Yeah, I agree.
You don't get hurt by information that you don't know. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's totally not true. Bad information like that, if somebody talks bad about you and you don't know about it, it doesn't hurt your feelings.
I agree.
So Singapore justice, do you think America could do it or not?
It would be tough because a lot of things aren't equal. Well, some people say there's a kind of an old joke, double entendre. I believe in equality, but some people are more equal than others.
Yeah. Well, we've seen it from mostly white people to O.J. Simpson. We've seen it. If you have money, it's a totally different justice system. Except they just put, man, that girl who Jeffrey Epstein, they just found her guilty on everything. And I don't even want to talk about that because that's disgusting. But I do want to say this. Let's get back to the anti-vax because you actually showed this to me, which I think is amazing. But, kickboxing and the MMA, I know you love that stuff. And I'm more of a boxing person. Mm-hmm. But anyway, one of its European champions was an anti-vaxxer. I said no vaccine. Well, he got COVID and he wound up in the hospital. And if you watch YouTube or if you can go to our site, www.THEWINGMENSHOW.com, you will be able to see this because I'm going to put the picture up also. But this guy's laying in the hospital bed with tubes everywhere. That's not the end of the story. He, while he was sick, ripped out the tubes, said he was feeling better, went home, and died. His wife, now this is ignorance past I don't know what. His wife said that he doesn't want his legacy to be that he believed in the vaccine. He still didn't believe in the vaccine. But he actually died because of his theory.
It is nuts. His name was Frederick Sinistra. He was a three-time kickboxing champ from Belgium. I read about it. And the only reason he even was in the hospital the first time was because his coach, his coach saw him so sick, he made him go. He found that he had it. He didn't believe in it. He had it. What you said was right. He said this is just, he called it a little virus. And he got tired of being in the hospital. He pulled out his stuff, checked himself out, went home, and he was supposedly treating himself with oxygen and died. Now, I saw the pictures of him. He looked pretty big and strong to me. He was all of 41 years old.
I'll put those pictures up now.
Yeah, So this whole anti-science thing, it's not a total American phenomenon. I'll throw this on. Did you know that in Germany, in the Saxony region, which is very conservative, there was a conspiracy to kill German politicians that encouraged vaccination? They uncovered it recently somehow. And that the whole thing is made up, but they were actually they had a kill list. So the new chancellor, I think his name is Olaf Scholz, has something to deal with. So the anti-vaxxers are not just in the American heartland. That could be anywhere. So what can I say?
You know what you can say? You can give us that great Wingman story that you told us about in the beginning.
Oh,
have you been to Costco? Have you been to Costco lately?
Yeah, I was there not today. Yesterday I got some gas and a few supplies. I go early in the morning.
Return any Christmas gifts?
No, I did have some stuff to return. A couple of things have been sitting around for a while that we just weren't going to use, and they took it back, which was cool. And I was almost nullified the purchase that I made. So I gave Costco some business yesterday.
But you realize that their return policy is the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, really. Yeah, everybody's smiling. I didn't have a receipt. They just put it on the card. Da 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 da.
Bing, bang, bing.
Yeah, big bang. It wasn't even, it was just like more like a bing and a half of a bang. It was that quick. But the wingman is a young man this week. His name is Davion, not Davy, Davion Johnson of Muskogee, Oklahoma. And he's 11 years old. He's not only a wingman once, he was a wingman twice in the same day. The first time, I guess he's at school, and one of his classmates was trying to open a bottle and was using his mouth to get the cap off. Somehow the cap lodged in his throat. You shouldn't do that, number one. But anyway, it did. It's lodged in his throat. He's choking. He's trying to find help. Nobody knew what to do. Davion sees us. I guess he's some distance away. He's not next to him. He gets to him and he does the Heimlich maneuver. You know, you grab the belly and pop it. He's a big kid. I think he's a wrestler. He popped it and it pops out. Saved his life. Great. That's enough. A few hours later, I think his mother was bringing him home from wrestling practice.
No, they were on their way to church.
Oh, was it church?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I got wrestling in there. Okay. They're on their way to church. I guess they noticed there's a fire coming from a home nearby from the back. And I guess they went to notify the people or notify somebody. They didn't know what was going on. So as they get there, they see people coming out of the house, and they notice that one of the people is an elderly woman who's on a walker having some difficulty. So he helps her get out of the house, even though the flames are apparently very close to him. And his mother said, well, that's just the way he is. That's just, what he does. And for that, he was made an honorary Muskogee deputy sheriff. And there's a nice picture of them presenting him with an honorary plaque. And quite a young man, given even the challenges in his life, because this past August, his father passed away from COVID.
Yeah, and you know what he said? Why he did that, why he saved 2 lives, was the spirit of his daddy in him, who died from this disease. That's a real wingman.
That's our wingman, Davion Johnson.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth, and goodwill towards all men and women.